If you felt strangely absent inside your own plans that you've actually created, you may not be centering yourself within your own life. There's a difference between running your life and actually living it. Hi, I'm Linda. I'm a whole person executive coach for women in leadership. If you've been feeling like a spectator in parts or throughout your life, here's a whole person way to help you find your way back. So imagine it's Monday. You start the week with clarity. You've thought about what matters, what's getting your focus, who matters, how you want to show up. And by Wednesday, something shifted. You're still delivering, but your sense of you is sitting in the back seat behind all the roles you carry: leader, partner, parent, friend, instead of those roles actually supporting you. We tend to allow our roles to define who we are. But what happens when instead we see them as vehicles we use to express what matters most to us? Roles help us organize the complexity of our lives, but left unchecked, they start to define us. When roles stop being in service of you, you start to perform yourself instead of being yourself, and you drift from your center. That drift doesn't start with crisis. It starts with quiet overfunctioning. Every, sure, I'll take it. It's fine. I got it. Seems small until it all adds up like 1,000 tiny paper cuts. To return to your center, you don't need to abandon your roles unless you really want to. You need to reestablish yourself as the driver and define what roles are most important to you and what's most important in each of those roles to you. Have you ever considered maybe it's not about doing less, maybe it's about leading yourself differently? Having many roles isn't the problem. They let you contribute, lead, and care. The issue is when they're given permission to start choosing your speed and your route. Over identification emerges in the moments you start to earn your worth through your usefulness in your roles. The goal here isn't to drop your roles unless you're really called to do it. It's to guide them from your own values, rhythms, and strengths. It's to take a leadership position in each role in your life. And here I don't mean literal leadership position, I mean self-leadership. You can start this process by asking yourself, what is most important to me about this role? Where have I been letting it lead me? How do I want to guide this role? Because this is where you start centering yourself at the heart of each of your roles, not just as the doer. Once you're back in the heart of your roles, the biggest challenge is maintenance. You need to stay attuned to the signals that tell you you're resourced, aligned, and on course because they change over time. When we approach a challenge or opportunity from a whole person perspective, we pull in data from different sources. Today, we're looking at 4 instruments of self-leadership, and we're pulling from our internal resources. There are more data points, but these are a great starting point. So the first is body. What is my capacity and energy? Do I have it in me to do this right now? Next up is emotion. Can I find meaning and truth in this situation? What values are being activated? We use our intuition. It's that internal knowing that something fits with you and it allows you to be in integrity. So how does this feel right now? Does it feel like me? And then finally, our mind, leveraging our intellect for sequence and strategy. What order makes this sustainable to me? When you reconnect with these 4 instruments, clarity returns not as certainty, but as coherence. You're in the same conversation with your mind, body, and values again. Most of us habitually check our mind first, and once we're there, we tend not to go much further. We immerse ourselves in planning, double checking, contingency planning, and then we start to think about, well, what does it mean if I don't do it? And for many of us, fear can start to arise from that place of saying no or I can't right now. We plan before we pause. Yet that's how self-trust starts to thin out. Not because we doubt ourselves, but because we bypass the other data available to us. So ask, am I resourced? Do I have the capacity for this? Do I have the energy? Sit with this and allow yourself to answer it honestly. Honest answers don't mean you won't do it. It just means you know where you're coming from. Check in with your emotions. What matters most here to me? And what shadow emotions are present? Take your intuitive pulse. Does this feel right to me? Does it light me up in some way when I think about doing it? Or does it deplete me even before I've started doing the thing? And then finally, last, check in with your mind, but do it a little differently. Instead of asking, how can I make this happen? Ask, how can I do this sustainably? Your mind is an incredible resource that I don't believe that we use enough. When you put it to task to say, how can I do this sustainably rather than how can I get it done? It starts to think in different ways. It starts to connect with other neural networks. So give it a try once this week and notice where it takes you. It takes some practice. So I would build up the muscle because you can't stay centered in your life when you don't consult the data. When these internal instruments are online, movement feels different. Decisions feel different. You're still in motion, but you don't have to white knuckle the wheel. You can accelerate and rest without losing your sense of self or without the weight of guilt. There will always be more to do and things you simply cannot say no to, no matter how burdensome. How much or how little you carry is not the measure. When your roles are aligned with you and not leading you, you're practicing the art of recentering your life. And the measure becomes whether or not you recognize yourself while you're doing the things that you're doing.